That's the first time I've been called that in a while. John, thank you. Thank you, Woody. Good to see you. You saw the note. You have 2 games this road trip. The entire 9 are 26 years or under. Overall, how does that make you feel to have? That's the first time in franchise history, by the way, that there have been games with all 9 being 26 or under. How does that make you feel?
Good, I guess. I mean, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I think you can include a starter in one of those games too, with Cody. Um, no, I mean, like I said before, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for us, especially as an organization, as a staff, as a group of players, to kind of build something together. You don't get that opportunity very often, to have that many young players together at one time. Now it's a bit of I wouldn't say it's like herding cats, not quite that, but it's definitely a challenge because there's so many guys. Typically if you have a roster full of guys that are half and half, or maybe a third younger guys, you put a lot of time and energy into those guys to kind of help them develop and learn. But when you have all of them, then it's I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, but at the same time, it's just a lot more work. But I honestly truly believe that our staff is built for that, because we have a very kind of youthful, energy staff that we don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think everybody kind of takes it as a really cool challenge. And some of these guys, obviously, Rags has been with these guys. He managed these guys like last year, so it's he kind of breaks into a tear sometimes when he starts talking about it. He's like, man, I just had this guy in A-ball last year. Now he's playing shortstop for us. Like, it's just kind of mind-boggling at times. But like I said, it's a cool challenge, and we're gonna do the best we can to help them learn and grow.
That big step from A-ball to the big leagues, for people who have never been through a minor league organization like that, would that be akin to maybe skipping junior high, right? Going from 5th grade to high school. I mean, are you sort of trying to play that much catch up?
In some ways, in some ways that are off the field. I mean, like just guiding these guys through life, I think is sometimes the biggest challenge. I think it was Jeff asked me that the other day, Willie, what's the biggest difference between A-ball and I gave a brief answer that I could have spent 2 hours on, just talking about all these little things that we're talking about. If a pitcher's tipping, like what do we look for? If a pitcher's given that science sequence, all these things that you kind of teach them as they're coming up, and they're getting a crash course in a lot of ways at times. But honestly, our guys have been tremendous. They haven't been, in my opinion, overwhelmed. We're challenging them, and I'm not afraid to challenge them. And there may be some mental days where they're like, oh, this is a lot to handle. But I think it's really important for them to get through that, regardless of whether they're with us next year at the beginning or they come later on. They know the expectations and they know what's demanded of them, so they can start that process in the off season, heading into spring training. And our minor league system is demanding the same thing. So there will be a lot of collaboration and trying to get these guys to the next level. But it is a bit of a challenge at times.
Do you guys have to have a different mindset as a coaching staff and just expect mistakes that are just born of inexperience, if nothing else?
Yeah, and I think you got to really do the homework to figure out what level these guys are on. So sometimes the age or the level that they were at, kind of, if they're at 3rd grade level, you got to teach them 4th grade material. Like, you can't overstep too many things and give them too much at times, but you still got to teach them. You can't just say, okay, that's okay, he's young, you made a mistake. We have to address it, talk through it, and just explain a lot of things. Like I said, it is what it is, and I look at it as a great opportunity, like I've said many times, and they have as well. Our younger guys have been fantastic in that, and they're eager. They want to learn.
Okay, about today, no Joey Gallo in the lineup. Just a day for him?
Yeah, just a day. I know he's kind of had his struggles with Haney, and we got 9 games left. He's going to play the last 8. I'm barring injury. I don't plan on giving him another day, so this is kind of a unplugged day, and work on some things and hopefully finish strong in the last 8.
And no Joey, but you do have Lance Lynn, so that's always a nice place to start for no matter who you have behind him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good day when Lance is pitching. We've had a lot of he's had a lot of success, and he's got 2 more starts. If it wasn't for Shane Bieber, I think he'd be in the lead for, Cy Young just with how he's pitched. So tremendous to watch. He did it last year at the end of the season, even when we were out of it. He showed the rest of the organization, the rest of the younger guys, and everybody, to be honest with you, not just younger guys, but like, this is how you compete, regardless of the situation and the standings or where we are as a team. Like, you go out and compete, and that's what he's done for us ever since we got him.
Great. That's it for me, Woody. Thank you.
Other questions, please. Chris.
So I'm curious of when we talked to John Daniels earlier this week, he mentioned he said obviously that Elvis and Rugi's jobs are not guaranteed next year. And a position change might be a part of that. And for Elvis, who's played shortstop for his entire career, can you kind of detail, as a former infielder yourself, of what challenges that would entail for Elvis to switch to either second or third base?
It would be a challenge, especially since he's never played another position. But I do believe, being a shortstop, I never played another position until I got to the big leagues. And then when I did, I was asked to play second, asked to play third, and it was an easier transition because I was a shortstop. If Elvis had been a second baseman and you're asking him to play third, or a third baseman and you ask him to play second, it's a different thing. But I think, honestly, the biggest thing will be the second base one, if that's where we kind of go, just because it's on the other side of the field. Third base is very similar. You're just a little more pull, and you can't really see signs, and there's a few things being on the corners that are different from shortstop. But second base, the turn is the opposite. So, having to turn and throw right instead of always turning and throwing left at shortstop is a bit of a challenge. But I know Elvis believes he's still, the everyday shortstop, and I want him to believe that. He's obviously got to come in and prove that. But if we happen to move him around a little bit, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. But he's such a good athlete, I think he'll be fine. And
just really quick on Anderson, I think you've mentioned that you kind of view Taveras as a pretty good lock for, I won't say a lock, but a strong candidate to be on the everyday or to be on the roster next year. Has Anderson done anything more to change your mind on that, or is there still just a lot that he's got to learn, that he's got to do here at the end, off-season, spring training, in order to kind of put himself in that same category?
He's impressed me, man. We've asked him to do some things, and he's literally done them that day, and that's pretty rare to find it. I thought there was going to be a lot of free swinging, just going up there and like he did in Oakland. And, listen, it's a live bat, so I like it. But he's going to have to learn some strike zone recognition, and he works on it every day. And he's able to actually execute game plans, pretty sophisticated game plans at times. And some, you got to be courageous out there in a major league game to execute some of these plans and not get caught up in, I got to get a hit right here. And he's been able to do that. And I know that we've been guiding him, through some of those things, but to be able to do that at such a young age, I don't know if I gave him enough credit. And, he's showing it last night. Everybody else was having a hard time with Korea, and he was the one guy that just, he almost hit a homer foul too. On a slider, because we said, hey, he's going to throw sliders, and he launched one just foul, and, was able to get on the fastball his first at bat. And then, he told me he was going to hit the rocks. The at bat, he hit the double, and he literally hit it right at the rocks. So it's, maybe that's one of those kids that you just kind of have to guide him and, mold him the way you want. He becomes that guy, but his talent is off the chart. And I don't know if I gave him enough credit, upstairs, his ability to make adjustments and just keep learning, as he is. He's been really impressive.
All right. Thanks, Woody.
TR.
What is the best case scenario for Kyle Cody next year, given his 2 years off and his limited innings pitched? I mean, he's in your rotation now, but what do you think you guys can expect from him going into next season?
I think listen, he will be limited just because he hasn't thrown for the last couple of years. So whatever that limit is, whatever we decide, heading into next year, I don't know if he's going to throw any more after this. He's had he's had 2 or 3 years now of, pretty significant, non-off seasons. So getting him that rest and recovery may be the best thing for him, but he's going to come in with a chance to earn a spot, in that rotation. And then whether that's a limited role in the beginning, maybe, lesser inning or number of pitches, we'll figure that out. But as of right now, I mean, obviously we want to maintain that starter mentality, starter role. And if we have to send him to AAA just to kind of get us, a month in, just to build him up a little bit more, then so be it. But I fully expect him to come in and compete for a spot.
He's going to start tomorrow, and he'll get one more start, correct? Or
Yes.
okay. And I hate to ask this question, but is Benjamin going to start, or if you made a decision on that spot yet, or
Yeah, he'll still pitch in that spot. Yeah.
is he going to start?
I don't know yet. I mean, we told him we could do either way. I wouldn't mind seeing him start, to be honest with you. I know he wants to, like from inning one. We'll see.
I'm sorry, those probables drive me crazy, but thank you very much.
Okay, Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So what do you've got Mathis with Lynn? Is that how you're going to do it in the final start too, or is there a chance that Huff will get a chance to catch Lynn? I know Lynn's possibly going to shot at a Cy Young and all that kind of stuff. You want to give him the best possible opportunity. How do you view that?
I'm going to talk to Lance about it. If I know that Mathis obviously has been catching him quite a bit, and he was really comfortable with Trevino as well. If he's okay with the kid catching him, I might actually do that, just to get obviously Huff some experience and let him kind of prepare for that. Get to catch a guy of that caliber that kind of commands the game the way he does. I think it would be a good experience for him. But we'll decide obviously after Lance goes 8 scoreless tonight. I'll talk to him and figure out what he wants to do.
And you talk about sometimes it's important to get a pitcher a W. Is it important to get Huff a W now that he has started 4 games and he doesn't have one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it is. I know it kind of wears on him because he puts a lot of preparation in it especially for a young kid. He's really open to a lot of things, and he's worked really hard. And I know last night he was crushed that we had a chance to kind of come back and win that game, and we didn't. Because he does. He truly wants to win every game, and he wants to be a reason for that. And not having done that yet, I think it's getting to him a little bit. So I definitely would like to see him win a game for sure.
Thanks.
Evan?
Why are you pulling Lance out before the 9th inning?
He's probably gonna have 122 pitches.
Okay,
I let him go back out for the 7th at 109. So that's.
Hey, on the pitching thing, one thing I was curious about, you brought up Cody, you brought up King. Both those guys pitched at Class A. You have a guy on the 40 in Tyler Phillips over at the alternate site. What was the scouting report on why did he not end up getting to the big leagues this year?
Tyler, I think there was he's learning a lot right now. I don't think he was quite ready. As far as, I know he is a bit of a strike thrower, but we wanted to see a little bit more development. And I think, to be honest with you, I think some of these other guys, we probably would have wanted to see more development as well. We thought they were close enough to where, getting some experience in games, because we have no games to play, that was more important, even though it was at the big league level and there might be some flaws that come out. We were willing to kind of accept that. But with Tyler, I think it's not that there's flaws. I don't think he was just quite ready for that yet. And I think we all kind of agreed on that.
He's kind of almost remade himself as a pitcher now, right? I mean, he's going more to the four-seamer and more to the breaking balls than sinker changeup, correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes. I mean, that's kind of what. He's worked really hard at that. But I think that like the mentality, all those things, he's still a little young in that. And he may do fine if we brought him. He may have done fine. But I still don't think he's still got a couple levels that he has to kind of cross to get here.
Woody, have you been over? I know you've been over to watch the alternate site. Have you been over there for one of their games or just for workouts?
No, I've seen them play. They've actually played on our field a few times, either before or after our games. If we have a day game, they played after, and I've stuck around to watch.
So how would you describe what that atmosphere is like for those guys to develop in? It just seems so hard to kind of wrap your head around.
It's different. it's different, and I applaud, you know, not only the players but the staff for just how they've conducted themselves and how much, you know, they've been able to accomplish with so little, you know. It just, they've had to be really creative. You know, you can ask Huff, you know, just his experience over there. I mean, he was, you know, game planning every day as if he was playing. They had a lot of, you know, creative things that they did, that they continue to do, that are, you know, getting guys ready to compete and play. And it's not the ideal, you know, situation, but we made the most of it, you know, and I'm really proud of the staff, especially for creating an environment that, you know, it's not always going to be perfect. You can tell guys, or it's like a AAA environment a little bit, where guys, some of the guys aren't happy to be there, but they're still getting their work in. You know, they have a lot of time, you know, especially out there in 110 degrees. Like, that's where I think that the biggest grind came in. When we leave, they're actually happy because they're like, all right, we get to go to the great facility, but not on the turf over there at 110 degrees. So I think I told you, one of those guys should write a book about it and just say, you know, this may change the way we actually do things, because we were able to accomplish quite a bit with what we didn't think we were going to be able to.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Couple more. What do we got? Let's go to Jeff and then Levi.
Hey, Chris, I've had a couple players say this, not this year, but in the past, that in the minor leagues, they didn't feel like super challenged, that they were really talented and needed a bigger challenge. Do you think that's a legitimate thing? And maybe do you see that from Leote and Anderson?
Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard, you know, definitely guys, you know, you get challenged here. I know that. I think that's where, you know, what we were talking about earlier with some of these pitchers. It's like, are they okay with handling that challenge, and are they going to survive? You know, you'd hate to set them backwards. Feel like, man, this is like, it's overwhelming. It's too much. I can't get anybody out, or I can't hit anybody here. So we obviously were really careful with who we brought. That's why you look at Leote and Tejeda there. They both have zero fear. They don't really care what field they're on. They do need to be challenged. And that's where I think this environment, you know, I know it's a weird year and there's a lot of, you know, no fans, so it's a little bit easier. So the challenge isn't as hard in the big leagues. So I think, you know, bringing these guys up here, it's like you know, obviously it's the big leagues, but it's a step down from what it typically is without fans. You don't have the, you know, you go to Houston and it's the 8th inning of a game and you're having that in a bat against, you know, Presley or, you know, Ozuna, who's obviously hurt, but, you know, the crowd's going nuts. Like, they don't have that to deal with this year. So I do agree, though. I think that they all need that challenge. All those younger guys, like, it's a good challenge for them to have right now.
Levi?
One of the, I guess, as you're managing a baseball team, obviously you were saying, excuse me, that it can be a challenge because usually the younger guys get more attention when there's only a handful of them, right? And the more veteran guys kind of have their routines and they sort of know what they're doing. Is it in league with that challenge? Is it also sometimes maybe easier on another level? Whereas, you know, with veteran guys, if you come in with a new coaching staff or new ideas, maybe there might be some resistance to that because they've done what has gotten them to the big leagues and it's successful. Whereas if you've got a room full of young guys, does that make it easier for you to kind of institute a plan that you as your coaching staff have?
A little bit, yeah. I think so, especially because obviously younger guys, it's not like they're just going to do what they're told, but they're going to be a little more open, you know what I mean, to trying new things. And I think that's why I say I look at it as a tremendous opportunity for us to kind of say, okay, we can implement some of these things with these younger guys. And the second they're born into this game at the big league level, there's demands put on them that we want. So when they're 8 years down the road and they are the veteran guys, they don't take a pitch off. They battle every at bat. They don't take a game off. You know, and there's all these ideas and philosophies that we, you know, that I look at and I go, okay, these are important. Yeah, when you have older guys, it's not that they're stuck in their ways. They deservedly so demand respect from us as a staff to say, hey, you've been successful in the big leagues. Now we always try to, you know, those guys, if we feel like they can do something better, we're gonna, you know, bring it to their attention. But yeah, younger guys they're more sponge-like, right? They're going to, you know, they're kind of like clay that you can kind of mold. They're not hardened yet. So that's kind of the way we look at it. And, you know, like I said, it's just a ton of work because there's so many of them. but nobody goes unnoticed. It's not like somebody's falling through the cracks in our team right now. Like, we take the time for each guy. It's just just constant attention. There's no downtime, obviously, for us as a staff, which is fine. That's our job.
Cool. Thank you.
Anything else? Alex, last one.
Woody, one quick thing on Kyle Cody. Is it going to be 3 innings tomorrow, or are you looking to extend him a little bit more?
I think we'd extend him. We were planning on kind of extending him his last outing. He just threw a ton of pitches. So he got up to 73 pitches, I think, 74 pitches almost, and in only 3 innings. So I think, you go 70, 80 pitches. If he can get through 4 or even 5, I think we'd keep him out there. I would definitely keep him out there for that.
And then you said about, guys kind of – do you feel like these guys are getting rushed into the majors? Do you think those things that you learn in the minor league level, do you think that's going to cause maybe a little bit of detriment to the guy's development, or do you feel like that's not even going to matter?
I think it'll matter. I think we got to be careful with that. I don't think it's a detriment. I think, they are learning fast. I think that's the state of the world right now. Everybody's learning fast. I think, like as a younger person, there's a lot more demands on you now. There should be, and I think as an organization, we put those demands on guys that we get right in as soon as they walk through the door to put the Rangers uniform on. So I think they can handle it. You just got to be careful with how much, if there's a ton of failure, then obviously you got to take a step back and say, okay, what's best for this kid? Do we give him a couple of days off? Do we, but we haven't really had that here. I mean, most of these guys are kind of battling through it, and they're learning. They're having enough success to where it keeps them wanting to keep coming in and learning and growing. It's like nobody's, hanging their head. So, but you do have to be mindful of that, because it is something that could be a detriment if you weren't careful and didn't pay attention.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Woody.
Get 3 in the first and can't push any more across.
Yeah, real tough one. I think for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I mean, we came out and swung the bats. We had a good game plan coming in, and we took advantage of it. 3 in the first. I thought there was some opportunities after that. We kind of forced Haney to go to a different game plan. We had to use a lot of off speed and change up some curveballs. We didn't really adjust back. I felt like guys were going up there trying to do that. They just didn't obviously execute, and the chances we did have to score, we had a runner on second, nobody out. Rugi just missed a homer, in that second at bat, foot foul maybe down the line. But runner on second, nobody out. We didn't even come close to scoring there. And then, 7th and 8th inning, we swung the bat pretty well. We just got a little bit unlucky. Solak hit one to the top of the wall. Kiner hit one to the top of the wall. It's just, unfortunately, those are things that are going to happen in baseball. But I think after the first inning, we need to do a better job of kind of putting the pressure on.
What did you see from Lance tonight?
Typical Lance. I think the mistake to Ohtani, the homer. I think the 5th inning got hit kind of hard, but that's going to happen at times. And he obviously kept us in the game. The Fletcher kid, he's pretty resilient when he gets in the batter's box, and the big 2-out hit there to tie the game kind of obviously put us even. At that point, it was anybody's game. But Lance, goes out there and gets us 2 more zeros. So our job is to, get him a run, get him another run. He's done so much for us. He deserves us to kind of give him back a little bit.
You did get Haney out of there, sooner than a lot of times he leaves a game. So you were doing some things right against him. You just couldn't quite capitalize.
Yeah, I mean, like I said early on, we did exactly what we talked about. We made him pay. He gave us some fastballs to hit, and we were up 3-0 with 4 batters. That's what I'm saying. After that, we have to do a better job of kind of recognizing, and we did. We just obviously have struggled with spin, and teams are going to go to that. We can hit a fastball at times, but we need to be able to recognize the off-speed pitches and know to look for those pitches when they're not going to go to the fastball anymore, especially after we hit them.
Yeah. Thanks, Woody. That's all I got.
What else for Woody? TR?
Chris, I'm guessing that you were going to save Hernandez for the closers role tonight after Montero.
No, we were actually going to kind of try to stay away from Jonathan. Montero was available, but I was going to try to stay away from Jonathan.
Either way, do you need, obviously you need to get a deeper bullpen. I mean, Hernandez and Montero have been carrying that bullpen. You got to find some people, whether you're going to be going young next year or trying to contend. You need a deeper.
For sure. And I know we should have Leclerc back next year. Brett Martin's been, obviously after today, the leadoff walk kind of killed him, but after that he pitched really well to get out of that inning. And then you got Joely, so we have 5 guys, obviously going into next year that are still pretty young, and we should be able to count on. We do need to add pieces to that though, to obviously have more depth, especially when we use those guys quite often. And we played a lot of close games, so we had to kind of use those guys more than expected. Sometimes in tie games and down 1. But yeah, I mean, I like the 5 guys we have, but we definitely need to add more.
Is that a tough play for Sherwin coming off the bag, off the hold?
It's a play he's got to make, obviously, and he knows that. Left-handed hitter, you're kind of expecting he's playing near the line. Just there's a ton of top spin on that ball. He's just got to secure the baseball. Obviously, probably would have been a double play if he can just catch it and throw to second base. So, I feel bad for him because he's obviously hasn't played a lot as much as some other first basemen, but it's a play that he'll definitely think he should make.
Other questions? Evan?
Hey, when you talk about recognizing spin, it's not the first time this week you've talked about it. Is this just a product of the number of young guys you're running out there, or why is this team so susceptible to spin?
I don't know. I mean, I think you can look at it from an individual case-by-case basis, and then also as a team. I think, sometimes younger teams have a hard time going up there looking for pitches like that. It takes some older guys to kind of, learn that trick or that trade. That's something they're going to have to learn because, unfortunately, in today's game, it's not like it used to be where teams are I'm going to establish fastball. That's the philosophy of the organization. That's no longer the case. Organization by organization, it's typically what's the best way to get this guy out. And if that means throwing him 5 straight sliders or curveballs, they're going to do that. And that's why I'm not afraid to talk about it openly. Like, our guys need to get better at it. If we're going to have a chance to score runs on offense, they're going to go to that anytime they can.
Do you feel like you're the veteran guys, and the veteran guys you have playing now are all young veterans, but do you feel like that is a little bit of an issue for them as well?
At times, depending on the certain guys. Yeah, I mean, every pitcher is different. Like we've seen the last 3 or 4 games, I guess. They're all kind of unique. But I still think there's some room for growth, yes, from all of our guys, including the older, younger veterans.
Hey, last thing for me, I'm just assuming that on usage of Martin there was all targeted towards the fact that Trout's been a reverse split guy. Is that what the thinking was?
Yeah, they have a few guys obviously in their lineup that don't hit lefties as well. Pujols for some reason hasn't hit them well. Obviously the lefties don't, but yeah, they do got some interesting reverse guys. But Brett's been one of our best pitchers, and I think the way he's been throwing the ball, it's a good matchup. Top of the lineup, I wanted to put somebody in there that I felt like could not only match up well, but get the job done.
But it sounds like counterintuitive, right? A left-hander is going to be in there to face Mike Trout, but the numbers this year kind of bear that out, right?
Yeah, it's over the last couple of years, and I'm not sure exactly why. I know I'm not going to get into any strategy. I know we kind of have some feelings as to why, but yeah, it is a little odd to think that.
Okay, thanks, Woody.
Levi?
I'm not sure if this is just 2020 conditioning me to think the worst about everything, but you saying that you're trying to stay away from Hernandez tonight. He didn't pitch last night, just 16 pitches the night before. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. It was just a minor physical thing, but nothing to worry about. We just didn't want to use him. We wanted to kind of be safe and not use him at this point.
Okay.
He'll be ready though. He'll be ready. He'll be available, after this.
Okay. All right. Thanks.